Welcome to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to talk about the tenuous link between the Djinn and magic carpets. Magic carpets have always been associated with ancient Persia. However, I'd like to look at what history and mythology has to say about these carpets. Interestingly, magic carpets were seen as a method of transportation. That's something to really take on board. And there is lots of historical accounts and mythological accounts about the carpets flying through the air and taking their owners from one place to another. But of course, most people associate, rightly or wrongly, the magic carpet with the story 1001 Nights. However, it's not that clear cut. So let's examine why the association between Djinn and magic carpet is not as Disney promote. In the story of the Arabian Nights, or 1001 Nights, the story goes like this. Essentially, it's a collection of Arabian folklore which is told by Scheherazade and other characters of her court. However, as I said, the connection between the Djinn and the magic carpet is tenuous at best. So let's have a sort of brief outline of the story. Prince Hussein and his eldest son of Sultan of the Indies travel to Bishnagar in India. However, they buy a magic carpet from a human. Now, within the text, the magic carpet is described as thus. Whoever sitteth on this carpet and willeth in thought to be taken up and set down upon the other side will, in the twinkling of an eye, be borne thither, be that place near at hand or distance many a day's journey and difficult to reach. So what does that tell us? Are we talking about a physical flying carpet that is being referenced, or are we talking about something which may be more esoteric and the journey is more to do with one's mind and the inner eye? But the point is that they go to a human for the carpet. They do not go to a Djinn. I think this is worth bearing in mind. So, where does the story of Aladdin having a flying carpet come from? Well, if we look at the story of Aladdin, it predates when Galland published it in 1712. However, it writes about a flying bed. It doesn't do the Disney thing about the Djinn giving Aladdin a carpet. So where did the story originate from? Well, contrary to people's belief, Galland did not find the story. He got it from a person from Syria named Hannah Diab. Academics have known this for a long time because he put it in his diaries. But he's talking about a very strange place. He's talking about China However, this China is more like Arabia. How can that be? Well, to understand that, we have to go very, very, very far back in history to understand where this idea or where this place of experience was. Now, Islam and China have never really been separated. Even today, there is large Muslim community within China. But to understand the China that they're talking about within Aladdin's era, we have to go to the Tang Empire. And that was because of the powerful Mongol legacy that united Persia and China sometime in the late medieval period. However, without wanting to be repetitive, once again, sort of the story talks of a flying bed. It doesn't really talk of anything to do with a magic carpet. What are the other connections with the Orient? Well, if we look at Ukraine and we look at, say, Russia, I understand Russia is not part of the Orient, however, Ukraine is. One of the central characters of Ukraine mythology is a woman witch called Baba Yaga. However, it never states what Baba Yaga is, and I've done a lot of research. The first thing to jump to is that Baba Yaga may be some kind of entity or some kind of Djinn, because her house walks. Allegedly, she eats children, where in the stories she never actually eats them. She always gets tricked out of not eating them. But it is very much the same character who is in the Russian stories as well. Now, she gives a flying carpet to Ivan the Fool, who in turn gets his woman, so to speak. But once again, there is no clear reference to Djinn. The only clear reference we have is that of Baba Yaga. And as I said, the identity of Baba Yaga, is she a gifted human? I think it's probably more likely. She's very old, but they don't speak of her being immortal. And her house does walk. The house is on chicken legs. She's quite evil. She likes to eat children, although she's not so bright, because she's often very, very easily confidence tricked, so to speak. She tries to eat 2 children, and the boy complains that he can't fit in the oven, and so Baba Yaga shows, look, I can fit in the oven, and they close the oven door and bake her. So, she's not the brightest bulb in the box. But as I said, all the indications are that Baba Yaga is a witch. She is human. She's not a subhuman either. They don't talk of her being a cross between some kind of entity. But it's interesting, and the picture of Ivan with his girl is hope for all of us who want a flying carpet and the girl to go with it. Interestingly, within the Bible, King Solomon turns up with a magic carpet. He's not only known for his wisdom, but he's also very known for the glorious flying carpet that he has, which is made of green silk, golden weft, and is 60 miles long and 60 miles wide. However, once again, this is like, there's 2 different accounts as to how he gets the flying carpet. I'm going to deal with the accounts in a different way, because he gets one of the carpets off God, which is quite interesting. God gives him the carpet, and he's a happy bunny, so to speak. However, it really alters his ego, and he becomes boastful, and he becomes not a nice person. And the story goes that he takes 4,000 or, or 40,000 of his men up in the air, and God's still annoyed with him and causes the men to fall off the carpet, killing them. I find this story quite perplexing because God is angry with Solomon, but he decides to kill the men as a form of punishment. Well, one would presume if God was angry with Solomon, then surely he would have polished Solomon off. Well, he doesn't. He polishes 40,000 men off instead. I don't know what kind of effect that has on Solomon, and whether I believe he stopped being boastful after it, but it certainly brings into question the motive of the God who wants to kill 40,000 innocent people so that the one person who is annoyed with will be less boastful and less arrogant. Now, in the sages Ben Shahira's story, he also mentions the Queen of Sheba, or Balkis. She had a royal alchemist who managed to make a small brown rug hover above the ground, and apparently it took him years to perfect his skill. Obviously, Sheba got to understand about this. However, there's an interesting twist to the story. He said that the trick of the flying carpet wasn't in the dyeing, but rather, or the spinning process. It was something to do with what they used in the dyeing. Now, this is really interesting because you can see on YouTube and you can read books where objects are painted with a special paint and they're giving a blast of electricity and they hover. So, you know, once again, this is very human. This isn't anything to do with the Djinn. This is more to do with something which can affect the whole physics of the carpet, so it can hover. And I think that's, you know, we're starting to get clues as to what is a magic carpet. Now, obviously, she was besotted with Solomon, and she wanted to gift him this flying carpet, and it was supposed to be made of green silk and beautiful golds and have lots of precious stones in it. And it was said to be quite large, that you could even, you know, stand on it with a host. When the carpet arrived, however, Solomon was busy with the Temple of Jerusalem, and he couldn't receive the gift, and he gave it to one of his courtiers instead. Obviously, when Sheba heard about this, she was absolutely heartbroken and decided to have nothing more to do with magic carpets, which then, of course, without the royal patronage, the alchemist and his artisans could no longer make carpets. And allegedly, this knowledge is said to have disappeared forever. But apparently, in alternative texts, it's claimed the artisans took their understanding of how to make the magic carpet to Mesopotamia. Now, apparently, not all rulers from the ancient past were fascinated with flying carpets. Solomon obviously was. However, according to Vanopiligian Dian Lomain, many leaders considered magical carpets to be blasphemous and ordered their destruction. Obviously, if you're going to destroy something, somebody wants to keep it. So others saw the benefit of the flying carpets, mostly for warcraft. And in the 2nd century BC, the king of Parthia, named Phraates, is said to be at war with Antiochus VII, the ruler of the secluded empire. According to the story, Phraates flew to the Zagros Mountains on a carpet and heroically defeated his enemy. Now, obviously, this is all lost in the mist of time, but there's a very interesting twist. Now, if you know anything about the Romans wrote everything down. In the 3rd century, the Roman Emperor Valerian was abducted during a sneak attack of a Caesarian ruler who effortlessly found his way into the camp on a flying carpet. So, this is really strange, because the Romans wouldn't write something down which would be seen as ludicrous, because it's just not part of their psychology. They were like little machines, to put it bluntly. However, this golden era of magical flying carpets didn't last long. There was also a story where there's an accident where King Abisan lost his son Vanasan, and he was so angry that the monarch was determined to destroy every single last one of them. Now, once again, we see this when something becomes banned. It usually makes something more popular, or at least somebody keeps one. So he didn't stop the production, but he certainly really halted it, so to speak. But the one thing that did destroy the carpets, was a massive destruction, which was a massive earthquake. And if we know anything about earthquakes, the thing that follows earthquakes is plague. And this massive earthquake, along with the plague, destroyed the ingredient that was in the soil, which was essential for the weaving process. Now, ancient Lumian and Persian parchments claim that the soil has to be magnetic, which enables the rug to fly. Interestingly, the Jewish sage Ben Shearia claimed that the legendary library of Alexander, founded by Pharaoh Ptolemy, had quite a lot of magic carpets in stock. This is really interesting, because what would they want magic carpets for? Maybe references, I don't know. But the point is according to this learned sage, they had them. But we have to remember that the library was a reference library. Maybe the magic carpets were nothing more than just living references, so to speak, along with the thousands of scrolls which were written in several languages. But as we know, all this precious knowledge was lost. Historical sources blame a couple of people for this. Well, more than a couple. Julius Caesar ends up in the mess. And also Abrin in Allah is another potential culprit. However, the destruction of the flying carpets apparently can be blamed, according to Ben Shira, on Genghis Khan. His Mongolian massacred everyone and including the last artisans who weave the flying rugs. And they stole the last ones of them. Apparently they destroyed them as well. And this happened when a prisoner told Genghis Khan that the carpets were more agile than the steppe ponies. And this, of course, angered the chief, so he decapitated him and ordered that all the carpets to be burnt and confiscated. Hence, no magic carpets left. But what of the modern ideas of magic carpets? Well, famous writers such as Mark Twain, in his Captain Stormfield's Visit to Heaven, flying carpets are the modern form of transportation. And if we look at this old 1950s cover here, he does look like a genie or a shear. He's wearing the turban, but he's very space age with it. I suppose if one had a flying saucer and you wanted to go to the moon, wearing some kind of space uniform would be probably power for the course, so to speak. But even with like authors such as J.K. Rowling, in her book Harry Potter, she mentions that flying carpets as being illegal in Wizarding Britain. So the carpet has never quite left the consciousness, so to speak. So of course this begs the question, what happened to the magic carpet? And will we ever see magic carpets ever flying in the air again? I can't really answer that question, but I've mentioned this before. I do have connections into Kashmir. You can see here, this is a picture of a genuine flying carpet. The design on it is thousands and thousands of years old. It was sent to me, it was found in some obscure carpet shop, which is mainly used by adepts, so to speak. The picture was sent to me. I did some investigation and I found somebody who makes the carpets. Now these carpets are not for general release. They're quite rare. Now, what makes this different is this is made by somebody who is a sheer magician. As far as I know, the carpet does not fly. But what the carpet does do is when somebody is meditating, they sit on the carpet. And because it's a magical design, apparently you experience an almost 3D inner eye vision. And one can literally fly with it from place to place. Now, obviously there are people who want deeper meditation. And so I've spoken to the guy who makes these, and he's willing to sell one or two, because I presume people, including myself, would love to have that deeper level of meditation which this carpet provides. I will give links at the end of the video. Hopefully you've enjoyed the magic carpet. I'm sorry if you're disappointed that there appears to be no link between Djinn and magic carpet. If you've liked what you've seen, please like and subscribe. I produce one video a week. Thank you for watching, and namaste.